Hey everybody, welcome back to the Snake Report. I hope everybody had an awesome weekend. Happy Labor Day. And today we are actually going to come in pretty hot with a topic that I bring up frequently, and it's more of a prevalent, important topic now than ever with the way the market has been oversaturated the last couple of years. And that's snake breeding in general. You have snakes, you have ball pythons. You can breed them, but should you breed them? And, if you just want to stick around for the first minute and not stay for the rest of the video and I explain myself, not everybody should breed. And probably most snakes you have, you shouldn't breed anyways. But to explain myself a little more, there's a ton of snakes on Morph Market. I was watching the number come down here over the past couple weeks. It was under 35,000. It was getting close to like 34,000 even, and now it's back up over 35,000 again. So like in the last couple weeks, 1,000 new snakes have been put onto Morph Market, which means there's oversaturation in the market still. There's still a lot of snakes that are not selling. That means there is more supply than demand. And when there's more supply than demand, that means prices go down. So if you're just getting into this right now and you're spending $50, $100, $200 on a snake, whether it's an adult or not, let's say you pick up a yellow belly and you pick up a normal, or you pick up a black pastel adult and you want to breed them because you think this is a great thing to get into, I am telling you now, that is a terrible idea. You cannot make money off of breeding those two snakes together. You cannot make money off of breeding a yellow belly to a black pastel. You cannot make money off of breeding a normal to a pied and making het pieds. There is no money in that. There hasn't been money in that for a couple years. There was some money in it during COVID because everybody was buying snakes because they had extra money laying around. But there is no money in that. And here's why. You're going to feed those, let's just say you have a pair of snakes. You're going to feed those two snakes. You're going to house those two snakes. You're going to have to get an incubator, for whether you make one or whatever, it's still going to cost you money. Let's say you have an average clutch size of 6. You're going to incubate those, pay for electricity for 2 months, plus house the other snakes. Those snakes are going to hatch. And let's just say you have a pied to a normal, and you make a bunch of het pieds. That's all you have is het pieds. There's nothing else in that clutch. You're just guaranteed het pieds. You're going to have obviously half females, half males. Those snakes are basically worth nothing at this point. I'd be surprised if you could clear $50 on any one of those babies. The problem is, if you're trying to clear $50 on one of those babies, if you even get that, I think that probably might even be high just for a plain het pied. You have to feed those snakes. You have to have a hatchling rack for those snakes. You don't know how long it's going to take to sell those snakes. And the lower end animals you produce, the less margin you have for error, and the less margin you have in terms of how much you can actually profit at the end of the day. I think the biggest issue most people got into in this hobby over the whole COVID thing was thinking that it was a get rich quick thing. Those are the people that got in just to try to make a quick buck. And I'm sure there were some people that did that. I'm sure maybe they lucked into it, or maybe they did a lot of research first and they just bought the right animals at the right time. They scored a bunch of money, and now that they're seeing that it's not paying off anymore and it's not quick and it's not easy, they're getting out. And they're selling all their excess stuff. Maybe they're selling it in wholesale, selling it for cheap prices just to get out. I'm sure there were a lot of people that did that, but I would guarantee you that there are more people that got in, probably made some bad buys, made some mid to low range animals, and they're stuck with them. And it's burning a hole in their bank account at this point because they have racks filled with snakes that aren't making them any money because they're making het pieds and they're making yellow bellies, and they're not making anything nicer than that. So it is definitely okay to buy yourself a black pastel or to buy a yellow belly or to buy a normal, but I would not be breeding them unless you have something crazy high end that you're breeding it to on the other end. You know, if you're breeding a yellow belly to a super gravel combo with like 2 or 3 or 4 other genes in it, sure. I mean, that would make sense as a pairing. But if you only have a normal and a yellow belly or a black pastel and a yellow belly, there's no way to make money off of those babies. And there's really not even any use of you keeping any of those babies as holdbacks, because they're really not worth anything to use holdbacks, because you could probably buy something that has better genetics in it for close to the price that you're trying to sell those babies for. It just doesn't make any sense. No dollars, no cents at the end of the day. So as pets, they're great. You know, if you want to have a pet snake that you're taking out all the time, you're not worried about growing up and breeding it, that's fantastic. There's 35,000 snakes on Morph Market. There are a bunch of snakes that need homes that, have been the animals have been overproduced. Hopefully, once that dies down and those snakes get sold off, people don't overproduce again, which is why I keep a smaller collection. I don't really plan on this ever getting bigger than this. The only reason that I ever plan on adding another rack is because these are already filled with my holdbacks. These are all higher end snakes that are going to be producing nice animals for me that are going to retain some sort of value. Even at this point, with me selling $4,000 snakes, I mean, I've sold several $4,000 snakes this year. I've sold several $2,000 snakes this year. My average snake sale price is still probably somewhere between $500 and $1,000 on average, because there's some snakes that are lower than that. There's definitely snakes that have left here for $100. I don't think I've sold anything for less than $100, but that's like my absolute bottom floor. Average is somewhere in the $500 to $1,000 range. I'd probably bet it's closer to $5 because of where the market is this year. But even at an average of $500 a snake, that still gives me room for profit, a lot of room for profit. If I sell 50 snakes this year at $500 a piece, that's a decent amount of money for snakes. Now, I still have debt in this business, not a whole lot. It'll be paid off here hopefully in the next couple months. Actually, that'll be the first time since I've started doing this since 2019 that I won't have any debt in this business. It'll be completely debt free at that point. I actually don't even plan on buying anything else. Maybe 1 or 2 males in the future. I might have to pick up an ultrapide male at some point, because I have probably 10 females in the ultrapide project that I really don't want to breed back to the sire that produced them, and I don't have any other males in the collection. So that might be the only thing I go to look to buy at some point, is just a proven ultrapide male to breed all those females to, so that I can make a bunch of cool ultrapide combos. But I don't plan on buying anything else, so I'm going to be debt free at that point. Everything that I produce from there on out, I would say probably by the fall, hopefully by like October, all that debt's paid off. Everything after that is icing on the cake, and I'm finally able to make profit off of this. So that's 6 full years that I have spent building all this, putting blood, sweat, and tears into building my collection and making some high-end animals. This is the toot my own horn segment of this, as I've taken the past couple weeks off and sat back, looked at the business, looked at where I was going with social media, looked at Morph Market, delved into numbers there a little bit. My business at this point on Morph Market is one of like 42 businesses in the ball python segment of Morph Market, and really overall there's only maybe 50 that have 200 plus ratings on Morph Market. Just one of 40 some businesses, which is astounding, considering the fact that there are other guys in there like Wilbanks that are basically farms that just produce tons and tons of animals at really low prices. I don't sell animals at low prices. My average sale price is actually really high. So the fact that I've been able to keep up a high average sale price and still be one of a handful of businesses on Morph Market that have 200 plus individual reviews, actually opened my eyes a lot to show me that like what I'm doing is right. Where I'm headed is the right direction. So that gave me a lot of, it added to my confidence, because the last 2 years have been rough. I mean, sales have been hard. I've sold everything. I really don't have a whole lot of inventory left. But it's selling for a lot less than I'd like because of where the market is. I do see that at some point. I hope I'm planning on it coming back. But the fact that I was able to keep a high average sale price while being one of less than 50 businesses on Morph Market to have 200 reviews was very eye-opening to me. And on top of that, I don't really know how much this means in terms of Morph Market, but I also have over 1,000 followers on Morph Market. And a lot of those other sellers in that 200 review range, like, don't even have close to that. Obviously the Justin Kabelkas do, Will Banks does, those bigger companies do, but Bob Vu, I'm sure, does. All those guys probably do. But a lot of the guys, I bet you half the businesses in there don't have that. Half of them probably don't even have 500. And what that tells me is they're probably not producing nice stuff on a regular basis to the point where people want to see what they're doing. So the fact that I have 1,000 followers on Morph Market for my store tells me that people like what they're seeing. The fact I'm able to keep my average sale price up, the fact that I have 200 reviews on there is a testament to what I've done in 6 years. This is new, relatively new, I would say. I'm going to be 40 years old this year, and I have been a herper since I was 5-6 years old. It was probably the first time so I've been doing this for 35 years. It's not like I'm new to this industry. I've just never started breeding anything until 2019. But since 2019, I started like basically in January of 2019 with buying ball pythons. So it's 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Yes, this is my 6th full year that I'll be doing this. It's a pretty big testament to be in the same air as some of those guys. So I'm really proud of myself for that. Even, I had the video a month ago talking about how rough the past couple months have been personally, but that sort of gave me a boost in confidence to say, look, you're making the right choices. Things are going well for you. I just produced 5 1.4 lightning pied clowns a month ago. I would be surprised if anybody has anywhere near that in their collection. I'm still just skimming the surface of what I plan on doing here. This is probably going to be one of my biggest years in terms of like valuable animals that I've personally produced and held back. And it took me 6 years to get here, but I'm doing it because I didn't have infinite money. Basically, every dollar I've made from snakes over the past 6 years has just been put back into buying more snakes or building the infrastructure in here. Getting generators for my, I spent like $5,000 on battery backups for my incubator. I had a generator bypass panel installed in my electrical in case the power goes out. I spent probably $10,000 between generators and electrical upgrades for the house. All these racks, $3,000, whatever they cost. I've probably spent maybe $15,000 on snake racks. All this stuff costs money. So for you guys just starting off doing this, you can't start off wrong. And the whole point of my channels and my social media and my Patreon is that I'm trying to get people to understand that they aren't going to survive in this if they start doing what I started doing, to be honest. I started off selling blue-eyed Lucy's, and they sold like hotcakes. I mean, they're selling for $500 every day, all day. Easy sells back in 2019, 2020, 2021. You can't do that anymore. But here's the thing. They still sell. Blue-eyed Lucy's still sell. If you bought yourself a pair of blue-eyed Lucy's, that would be an infinitely better investment than buying a black pastel and a yellow belly. They sell all the time because they're so beautiful. They're basic. The price might fluctuate a little bit. Maybe they're $250, maybe they're $300, maybe they're $400. Depends on the day, depends on the month, depends on the year. But they're easy sells typically. I maybe even wish I still had a couple here, but they're so far below what my average sale price that I'm not trying to be in that kind of wheelhouse anymore. But you guys can't start off where I was 6 years ago and survive doing this. So basically, the way I'm looking at it is, if you're doing this as a hobby and you're doing it because you love the animals, that's where you need to start off. If you're doing this to just try to get rich quick, it's not going to happen for you anymore. You also need to start taking the right steps to put yourself headed in the right direction. If you do want to breed these as a sort of a side hustle, you need to make the right purchases. You need to make sure you're doing it the right way. You can't have a sausage fest, as I like to quote routinely, where you have too many males to the female ratio. That kills it. You can't be breeding super low end stuff where your ceiling is lower than what your floor should realistically be. That'll kill you right on the ground running. So, watch this channel, request video content. I try to impart my knowledge as much as I can. I like to think that I'm a pretty business savvy person. I have revamped my collection probably 2 to 3 times because I realized, hey, I'm not aiming high enough. I have the right idea, it's in there, but I'm not aiming high enough yet. I'm in the right direction, but I was shooting down here. I need to shoot here, maybe even here. And that's where I'm at now. And the only way you guys can learn how to do that is to listen to other people's experiences and their knowledge and what they have to say. I'm not trying to sell you anything in any of the videos that I have, other than the projects that I'm in that I believe in. I believe in the Lightning Pie project. I believe in where it's going. I believe the fact that it's not oversaturated and that there still aren't lightning clown pies being sold, that it's going to be an easy sell when they do roll around. I believe in that sort of stuff. So when I encourage people to buy into those projects, it's because I believe in it. I've bought into it. I'm selling it. But like my Patreon at this point, I've even shifted that to being something that I'm not even really trying to sell it to people that aren't customers of mine. The way I've kind of shifted the pricing to that is, if you're a customer of mine, if you've purchased a snake, you get Patreon, you get into this group for $1 forever, per month, for life. Because I'm really just trying to be able to talk to people, build a community, to try to get them to understand what they should or should not be doing, and where to not make the same mistakes I did, to kind of keep yourself away from that. But just because, to bring this video full circle, just because you can breed 2 snakes together doesn't mean you should breed 2 snakes together. You need to think about, what are these snakes going to produce? And can I sell them or make money off of it? If you can't make money off of it, then I'm telling you right now, you should not breed them. If your babies are only going to be worth $25 to $50, you shouldn't be breeding them, because it's going to end up costing you money at the end of the day. Now, every once in a while, a pet person comes on here and says, well, you're just trying to breed high-end stuff and you're kind of kicking the pet people out of the market. What if somebody just wants to spend $50 on a snake? They can still do that. My point is, if you're trying to breed 2 snakes together, your ceiling shouldn't be a $50 snake. If your ceiling is a $50 snake, it's going to ruin your ability to make a business, even if it's a side hustle. Your ceiling should be a lot higher than that. If you're just starting off, your ceiling should be trying to hit a $500 snake, let's say, and your floor is a $50 snake. But your ceiling should not be a $50 snake. If the 2 snakes you have to breed are only able to hit a $50 snake at best in a clutch, you shouldn't be producing them. So take that for what it's worth. I know what I'm talking about. You need to not just jump in and start buying snakes and buying snakes and buying every cheap snake you can, because you have $100 this paycheck, so I'm going to go buy a $100 snake. Next paycheck, I'm going to have $50, so I'm going to buy a $50 snake. You would have been better off saving up that money and buying a $300 snake in a month rather than trying to buy every little cheap snake you can. Keep that in mind. You have to think long term with this. You can't just think short term.